You only know cephalopods, squid and octopi from dead individuals in a supermarket or from fried calamari in a seafood restaurant. You are missing out. You are missing out on meeting true aliens living on the same planet as us. These are some news about cephalopods. A flamboyant cuttlefish shooting out its hunting tentacle. These are behaviorally complex, fast, keen-sensed, large-brained animals. They have reached heights of behavioral complexity that sometimes they're called honorary vertebrates. I think, however, that vertebrates should be called honorary cephalopods. They can change the color of their skin in fractions of a second, and there is a variety of really fascinating species around. Look at this wonderpuss, hunting with 8 tentacles at once. I filmed this animal in Siquijor, a small island in the Philippines, during a night dive. There has been recently a lot of new scientific insight into these animals. But first, let's look at whom are they even related to. Cephalopods are mollusks, like these clams. So the clams or bivalves, like these giant clams here in the Philippines, are another group inside of the mollusks. A prominent group, of course, are the gastropods. These are the snails and slugs. This is a helmet snail and this is a murex snail, both filmed underwater in the Philippines. There are of course many species of land snails which have evolved to breathe air. There are also slugs on land and on underwater. This is a nudibranch. I'm linking to another video which I made which exclusively deals with sea slugs. So let's look at the whole family tree of all of the mollusks. To the left, they are more simple worm-like animals. To the right, they are the Aconifera, which are the higher mollusks. So these are the gastropods, the bivalves, and a few other smaller groups. And then the cephalopods, which then split into these rather simple nautiloids. So this is an animal which I photographed in Palau. These have simpler brains, eyes, and locomotory systems, and extinct now are the ammonites. From these ammonites evolved our modern coeloid cephalopods, which are here the squid, and this is a cuttlefish, of course. By the way, all this snow which you're seeing, these are tiny crustaceans which are attracted to my video light at night. And the third group of modern coeloid cephalopods are the octopi, like again this wonderpuss from the Philippines. Now, these animals, so they're relatives of slugs, snails and bivalves, but they have evolved much bigger brains and much more complex behavior. And this is what we will look at next. One of the reasons why these animals have such big brains is because they're ferocious hunters. They often don't live very long, so they really have to grow very quickly, and so they have to eat a lot in a short period of time. And almost all of them are carnivores, so they hunt other animals. Fishes, crustaceans, and here the hunting tentacle comes out, or other cephalopods. This wonderpuss is using the webbing on the side of its arms to hunt, and it's hunting on the seafloor. So what it's essentially doing, it's looking for a prey animal, and then it's creating this net to cover all of its escape routes. So very interesting behavior here. Now, one thing I've mentioned is that they're hunting other cephalopods, and these could be cephalopods of other species, but interestingly, especially squid seem to be cannibals. So cannibalism is a very normal part of squid behavior. If you get a squid in your supermarket and fry it, you will see that there's not a lot of fat. So the excess energy is often stored in the bodies of smaller squid. So here this Wonderpus just caught something, you can see that, and the webbing is really spread out over the bottom, and it's gotten dinner. Now this is a picture I took in Mactan where squid ate a fish. Now another very interesting thing about these animals, of course, is the color change. So you can see these waves going over the body of this flamboyant cuttlefish. So how is this done? This is done by contracting or relaxing small muscles in the skin. And so depending whether these circular muscles are relaxed or contracted, you either see what's on top of the skin or what's on a deeper layer. So with these, they can hypnotize their prey, they can communicate with each other, they can hide from predators. So here you see an algae octopus in Darwin, and this really fit in with the environment. Very interesting. So this is again a very active flamboyant cuttlefish, and you see these waves going over its skin at a high speed. So this is a pair of a smaller male and a larger female, and they're here right now. They're about to mate. So these animals typically only mate once in their lifetime. That's called Cephalopods. And because of that, they have a very different life cycles from vertebrates. So, there would be this shark species which live 400 years and they start reproducing at age 100. So, they live for a very long time, and then every year, if they can, they produce offspring, whereas these animals grow very fast in a short period of time, and then they mate once and produce as much offspring as they possibly can. And then, sometimes when you're underwater, you see these odd structures like what you see here. So these are squid eggs. And this is actually quite interesting that you see these murex snails. And a snail might be prey to an adult squid or octopus. And that's actually how predation pressure in ancient times in the Mesozoic is gauged by paleontologists. How many drill holes are in these snail shells? But here they've turned the table. So they're feeding on embryonic squid. Now, the next videos are donated by my friends George Spalding and Volker Kilian. Thank you very much for that. So here you see two octopi just about to mate. And you can see how they're changing the colors. Obviously, it's an exciting process also for them. And you can see how the male is trying to reach over with one of its arms to transfer a sperm packet. So the male is on the right here, and they're moving along. Obviously as a diver, when you see this, you want to minimize the disturbance, but that might not be easy. So they've decided to change location now, but they will continue their mating process. So this is in all likelihood, now the male is reaching over. This is in all likelihood, as I've pointed out, a once-in-a-lifetime experience for them. Their whole life history is set up that this is the apex of their lives, and then the mating, the production of sperm and eggs is so exhausting for them that soon after they will perish. So there's, in very few cases in cephalopods, there is an overlap between generations. The baby squid, which are produced in this mating, they will never meet the parents because they will have died from the mating. Now, this is really spectacular footage here. This is one of these mass mating events of market squid in Southern California. So these animals often live very deep, and where they hunt, they grow to this size, which is roughly 25 centimeters in a really short period of time, less than a year. And then they convene in the shallows to mate, and there's all that action. And just a couple of days later, you will see the seafloor littered with dead or dying squid, which are so exhausted from, completing their life cycle, and that they can, even when they're not dead, they will barely swim away from a scuba diver. So very different life cycles than vertebrates in the cephalopods. Now, recent years have seen a lot of very interesting new science come out about cephalopods, octopi and squid and cuttlefish. And it's these tools from neuroscience and from genetics which have allowed these new insights to emerge. So one thing which is new is that octopi dream just like vertebrates. So this interesting paper here shows that. So basically this is this nocturnal octopus which sleeps during the day, and these sleep phases have these deep sleep phases where the animal is white, and then the shallow sleep phases where the animal is brownish. So the thing is that over the course of an hour there are several of these episodes, and this is really very similar to the rapid eye movement sleep of vertebrates, including humans. So sleep is distinct in two phases, and they looked at the brain recordings that so when the skin color changes, then the electrophysiological activity changes as well. And here you can see the power spectrum, at which frequencies the brain is firing. So both the color changes as well as the brain becomes more active, really very similar to this REM or gamma or rapid eye movement sleep in a mammal. Now this evolved completely independently. So we split from these animals before the Cambrian period. So the common ancestor between us and them was some primitive worm which definitely didn't have a two-phase sleep. So this is a very interesting result in terms of the neuroscience of sleep, meaning that for some reason, for complex brains, it seems necessary to have this complete rest period, but then have these periods where the brain and the animal are sleeping, but the activity of the brain goes back to something which is actually very close to wakefulness. So fascinating new result. Another very interesting new scientific result about the cephalopods is about the RNA editing. So this is described in this, again, very interesting review paper. You can also find them in the description, both papers. So normally, if you paid attention in high school biology, you should know this, that, DNA, the genetic information, is transcribed into messenger RNA, which is then turned into proteins. And normally, in a vertebrate or in most other animal, that's it, right? The information in the messenger RNA is not edited. It's not changed, but that's very different in a lot of these higher coeloid cephalopods, that the information in the messenger RNA, the sequence of bases, is altered. So there's much more of this rewriting of the messenger RNA. Essentially, you make a copy of a book and then you cross out some words or you change some words. And this is really something which evolved at the split of the higher cephalopods to the nautiloids. So this is a very unique feature of higher cephalopods. So this is really only something that has been understood in the last couple of years, that they have a special trick up their sleeve how to express the information in their genomes. Now, the famous captain Jacques Cousteau asked the question, can there be true friendship between fish and man? And I think the answer is yes. Now, we should also ask, can there be true friendship between cephalopods and man? These are aliens, but very intelligent aliens living on the same planet like we do. So here my friend Matt is trying to communicate with this cuttlefish, essentially trying to mimic its arm movements. The communication here didn't succeed very greatly. Now, I have a few books out, The Lives of Gobies. If you enjoy my raving about marine life here, you will also enjoy this book. Your Brain on Diving is about hyperbaric physiology, should be interesting to every scuba diver, and coming out very soon, together with James Reimer, is 25 future dives about environmental problems in the ocean. Check it out.